We're just delighted that Small Business Strong has invited us to provide this presentation for you on enhancing small business digital capacity. Now, this is a really big topic. We can go through so many different directions on digital capacity, online presence. We are going to kind of guide you through some of the exercises and kind of recommendations that we often talk about with business owner clients that we work with. So RevBee is a small business consultant. We're also a technical assistance provider for the city of Boston. I'm also very happy to be one of the business advisors at Small Business Strong. But here at RevBee, we work across a lot of different disciplines in helping small business owners, from business plan creation, website development, to even working through some of your people management activities. But today, we're going to focus on that digital capacity online presence. And later on, we will talk about how you might get some help in executing on some of these ideas and building that capacity. So I'll come back towards the end of our presentation to talk about the Empowered Digital Grant specifically. Next slide. So I would like to introduce first, Morgan Canine. She's one of our small business consultants and digital marketing specialist, and followed by Gorgana, who will come in a bit later in our presentation, who is our expert website developer. But very excited to introduce both of our colleagues here. Morgan, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
Awesome. Okay, as Michael said, I am Morgan Canine. I'm our digital marketing specialist, and today I'm going to be leading everyone through the wonderful experience and knowledge that is digital capacity. So the first thing I'm going to do here is this quote by David Rockefeller, which is, "Success in business requires training, discipline, and hard work. But if you're not frightened by these things, the opportunities are just as great today as they ever were." And this quote is so poignant because this is by David Rockefeller, and this is almost 100 years ago that this man, said this quote. And it's still true today, right? It's just that the world of business is ever evolving. And if you're not scared of hard work and trying new things, you have just as many opportunities today, tomorrow, and 5 years from now. Okay, great. So a little overview about our work here today. There are a few sections we're going to be going through, but the main things we're going to be talking about is having a digital audit, some digital tools to help you, and then at the very end, help and resources, what Michael was saying. So what is digital capacity? So that could be anything from talking about having access to high-speed internet, which is the very baseline, the opportunity to operate online, having a presence online, and then also just feeling comfortable having a business in our increasingly digital world. The answer to the question is, why wait until you have no other option? Digital capacity is something that is more and more important every day. So understanding what you can do now and growing now can prevent you from having a situation which many of us experienced during COVID, where suddenly we were forced to change things immediately and very fast. So before we can even talk about these tools, we have to understand where we are in our business. And the first step of doing that is understanding your audience. Your audience is the most important thing, and understanding your customers is the most important thing because they're what's driving you, right? So understanding who they are and asking ourselves some questions is the first thing and the most important thing, right? So why is it important? Like I just said, it's important to understand who your customer is so that you can make smart decisions overall. So for example, imagine your perfect customer walked in. Think about them for a second. What do they behave like? What do they look like? How do they act? Some examples of some questions you can ask yourself, and this is something that is an exercise that I think is really important, just sitting down and writing down, having a piece of paper, finding a picture of what they look like, naming them, right? Why do they choose you? How do they fit into their life? Like, how do you fit into their life? Where do they live? What other businesses do they frequent? What are their pain points? Why do they experience what they experience? And the goal of this is to think of them as a real person, not an abstract idea. For example, whenever we work with our businesses, I like to go through this exercise with them, and we create this name for, like, this is Sarah Johnson. This is, Olivia Rodriguez. This is, all these people, this person, because like I said, it's a lot easier to come up with decisions based on real people. So now that I know where I am, let's go to the second half of that, which is performing a digital audit. This is important to understand where your tools are or where your business is. Now, a caveat to this is please perform a digital audit in the mindset of that customer that you just created, right? So what is a digital audit? So a digital audit is a process of inspecting, examining, and analyzing your digital assets, right? And there's a couple steps to that. Step number one, assess your current tools. This is, do you have Wi-Fi? What devices are you using? What POS system are you using? Do you use anything digital for employee tracking? Write a list of everything that you're using digitally. This could be a list of, oh, maybe these are the social media platforms I'm using, things like that. Number two, look up your business. Go onto Google and just look up your business name, right? You'd be surprised at how often you might not be the first search result. You might not be, where are you? What exactly is going on? Spend a couple minutes and search through what actually comes up, but in the mind of the person who is your customer. And then number three, assess your social channels. If you do use social media, go onto that platform and search your name. Just search your name. Don't even go to your profile. Search your name. What comes up, right? Think about what platform is giving you the most traction. What does your Google My Business page look like to the customer? Do you have answers to questions? Do you, if I'm trying to find, what hours you are, is that available to me? And then number four, browse your website, but browse your website with a purpose. So for example, if I'm a restaurateur, I might go onto my website with the idea of, okay, I'm going to pretend that I'm a customer and I want to make a reservation at 7 p.m. or I want to see what the menu looks like, right? Now, these are some other things that you should think about. Is your navigation tool easy to use? Is your logo easily visible? Is your mission or what you do easily understandable, especially for service industry or, service providers? This is really important. And then also, could a customer find you or contact you within less than 3 clicks? Or could they get their goal accomplished in like 3 clicks or less? That's really important. Okay. Now that we have who we're talking to and also a baseline of our digital capacity or our digital presence at the moment, we're going to talk a little bit about our next section, which is websites. And I'm going to pass the baton over to my wonderful colleague, Gergana.
Thank you, Morgan, and good afternoon, everyone. And I'm going to talk about a little bit more after we've done our digital audit and we know better our potential clients. The next thing to enhance your digital capacity is to work on your website. And the website is one of the most important elements of the business digital capacity and tools. So the website is the source of information for your business, but it's also a tool to be used to increase your online revenue. The main purpose is to help your business to grow and to keep your customers engaged. Morgan, could you please go to the next slide? Thank you. So by building and designing your website, it's really really exciting process, and it's important part of the business establishment and development. It's the story of your business, it's the story of the business owner and the message that you'd like to pass to your clients. So how I can build my website or how I can redesign my website to serve better my business? Well, first think about the main purpose of your website. What do you want to offer on your website? What your customers are going to do on your website? What do you want to show? Are you going to sell products? Are you going to offer services? And how all these elements can generate more money for your business. It's really exciting to start designing a website, and the first thing you have to start thinking about is, if you don't have a website, is to choose a domain name. So the domain name, it has to be related to the business services, and it has to be unique, has to be memorable, and has to be short, not too long, and it has to be different from already existing names. Morgan, could you please go to the next slide? Thank you. So when we talk about website building, we have to also start thinking about where we're going to host this website and what is going to be the platform that we are going to use to build our website. And here is presented one of the most popular platform to build your website, and that is WordPress. WordPress is an open source platform, which means it's free for everyone to use, and it offers us full control of designing your website. It's helping us to make it really unique for the business and to send that personal message that we wanted to pass to our clients. It easily can be integrated with third-party tools to help us to increase that digital capacity for the business and online presence. Morgan, could you please go to the next slide? Thank you. There is another whole world of different website builders and some of the most popular platforms that offer only one solutions, and you might are Shopify, that's as well Wix and Squarespace. They all offer different features, different look and feel. They are also could be used for different types of businesses. For example, Shopify is a well-known platform for businesses that sell products online. Wix also offers e-commerce for products and does not require technical skills to build your website. Squarespace is a well-known platform for businesses like restaurants, hair salon, and other professional services. So take the time to research all this platform, ask for demos. Again, think about the services that you want to offer on your website and how your customers are going to interact with your website. So Morgan, please slide. Thank you. So now when we have our website built, we have the platform, the website is ready, it's beautiful, it talks a lot about the business and what we would like to showcase and offer. We have to think about how we can use the website generated data to make it better and to reach more potential clients and generate more revenue for the business. So one of the tools that we can use to analyze this data is Google Analytics. It's showing, this tool is giving us information about the traffic, about the user behavior, how they interact, where they go on our website, on which page they spend the most time on. And this data is helping us to make our website better, to optimize it and improve the website visibility on the search engine. So we as well have to think about how to protect our website, and we have to keep it secure and we have to keep it up to date. And as well, that is really important because we have to follow the trends of this digital, fast changing digital world. And we have to make sure that we keep not only the website, but also our clients' information and privacy protected. So now, when we have all this in mind, we are ready to connect our website with all the rest of digital tools that will help us to increase our digital capacity and to start plan our marketing strategies and how we can reach more clients. So Morgan, I'm going to pass to you.
Awesome. Yes, fantastic. Also, before I forget, if you do have any questions as we go along, feel free to put them in the chat and we'll go through with them at the end. If you have any other questions, we have a Q&A, but I just wanted to say that because we'll be going through quite a few different things at the next section. So I would hate for someone to forget their question. So the next section here, like Ergana said, is third-party apps and platforms. So now that we have an understanding of where we are, and now we have a little bit of more knowledge of our website, let's talk about the rest of our toolkit that we can create when it comes to digital capacity. So the first section here we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about content creation or some marketing tools here. So we have Canva, which is a graphic design platform, Later or any other social media scheduler, Copy AI, which is an AI productivity tool, which helps you write. And then also we have a marketing platform, email marketing platform called Flowdesk. It's made to be beautifully designed and also easy to make. And another great thing about this one specifically is that it does have flat pricing as well. It's a newer one. So the next section here is, let's talk about digital infrastructure and devices. At the end of the day, we have to make sure that we're using devices that work for us, or we have even just any access to the digital world, right? So number one, Wi-Fi. Having reliable Wi-Fi is important. We've all probably had an experience where we've been in a meeting or we've had to do something and the Wi-Fi has dropped off or hasn't been as reliable as we'd like. And also talk with the provider that you have and see if they have business specific Wi-Fi. There's a certain level of strength that's required for things such as meetings and streaming and things like that. If you have a lot of devices going on, you do need a certain strength. And then also looking at the correct devices, right? Finding a right device. So is it in my budget? Does it have the functions that I need? And also keeping devices separate. What I mean by that is that making sure that even if you're using maybe a personal device for your work, making sure that you separate as much as possible what is personal and what is work so that there isn't confusion. Or if you're, a single person who owns a shop per se, you own a coffee shop and you're using your personal computer at the coffee shop. Well, what am I going to do now if I actually need to use mine, right? Making sure that we have plans in place so that we're able to keep up with our growth. Number one. Okay. So we're going to talk a little about HR management. So HR management is something that's very important. And you always want to find a software that meets your needs within your budget. I like to say, like I said before, think of this as a toolkit, and all of these should be complementary to each other. So building a plan overall. There's nothing worse than either spending a lot of time or spending a lot of energy on one thing and then realizing that it doesn't fit with everything else, right? So all reputable software companies should give you a demo or speak to a sales team. This is something that Gergana mentioned before. Always, 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 for all of these, and something I'll mention in a second as well, please go and ask for a demo or speak to a sales team, speak to a person, and look at multiple different options. So this one right here is a Bambee. This is an HR management tool that is an option. It's made specifically for small businesses. So it is, for possibly all small business needs, which is a little bit different than larger businesses. Then we have project management. So a project management tool is essentially something that will help you keep you organized and keep your team organized as you're going along. So the one that I have right here is called Notion. It's an open software option here that will let you create this in an open source fashion. So there are hundreds of thousands of templates. It's free. There are paid options, but it's mostly free, and it'll help you plan, organize, save time, and become more efficient. A CRM. So let's say you need something a little bit more intense than a project management system, like a Notion. You have a CRM, which stands for Customer Relationship Manager. So a CRM can help a service or product business organize their operations and process. So Monday.com is really highly rated, and they also offer a project management section if you need something a little bit more robust than the software I mentioned before. Scheduling. Let's say you need to help scheduling, right? All of us have had experiences probably in the past with Outlook or Google calendars where it's just hard to go back and forth, right? A scheduling software automates the scheduling process. You send a link to a person and they can decide based on your set times what works for them and eliminates back and forth. Also, Calendly is the most used platform, and it does have email integration. Some CRMs, like I mentioned before, do have the scheduling option, but it's typically at a higher price point. So weigh your options, like I said, and find something that works best for you. Okay. The next section we're going to talk about here is POS systems, which is quite a big section. Okay. So finding the correct POS or point of sale system is super important, right? So we always suggest researching all of your options first. And these are some questions to think to yourself or ask the sales demo person. Am I doing in-person or online sales? What industry am I in? Is there maybe a POS system that's made for my industry? What's my budget for fees or subscriptions? And this also is like, am I paying for the hardware? Does the hardware come in the subscription? If I were to change, do I have to give back the hardware? Things like that. And what functions do I need? Do I just need something if I'm online that just lets me, process all my payments? Or am I needing something a little bit more robust with inventory, and maybe there's different sales members that are, doing different things? And like I said before, this is a reiteration for all of these software things. Regardless of what system you choose, you should always conduct a demo with the company, ask questions during the meeting, and trial/contact multiple options. Do not be afraid to ask questions that are specific to your business. If you contact any of these providers, right, they have teams that are built to help you. All you have to do is search maybe the name of the software and demo, or sales team, or free trial, whatever it is. And if you do have any questions as you're going along, feel free to email them depending on what you choose. Okay. So we're going to have two examples here. So the first one is Square. Square is probably the most used POS system just in the United States. It's a company, and it's made mostly for product or service businesses. And it's a great option for those who are starting out. Like I said before, please do your research, but this is one option for you. They have multiple different hardware options. This right here is a traditional, stand. They have ones that plug into your phone. And they also have a really great demo team that you can talk to as well. And then another one here is if you are a restaurant or a food service business, there is one that's made specifically for you. There's a couple, but the one we're going to talk about is Toast. And they're designed for restaurants. They have multiple hardware options shown right here. And they also can integrate directly into your back of house integration. Like I said before, think about what exactly you need to be using this for as you're going along. Now, another thing we're going to talk about really quickly is customer loyalty. You can use the digital world to your advantage. A lot of these POS systems have customer loyalty options, or you can look at other software options to build customer loyalty. Speaking of customers, we're going to be talking about Google Business Profile. So what is Google Business Profile? How do I use it? Well, you probably interact with Google Business Profile a lot. Essentially what it is the search result that comes up if you look on Google Maps or you look a business name, you'll see it. And we're going to show you, I'm going to show you an anatomy of a Google Business Profile and how it looks. And then we're going to talk about best practices. So we're going to use Gather in Seaport as an example. Okay. So this is the anatomy of a Google Business Profile. You have your reviews. You have all of these options right here, so somebody can easily, go to the next page. This has quick facts, including touchless pay options, dine-in availability, right? They offer, they have a plugin that you can reserve a table. They also have their address down here, and then also their customized hours of operation. And then if you scroll down a little bit further, you can see that they have their delivery service integrated, their menu, any sort of qualifying things about them, and then also that they can see the live wait times. That's a lot of things that are just directly on this Google Business Profile. And this is all free. This is all available to all businesses. Now, if you are a service provider that doesn't have a direct location, they do have an option where you can put your service area there. So even if you don't have a physical location, there are options for you. At the end of the day, it is the third most looked at thing if someone searches your business, especially if they're like using a Google, using the Google search engine. So we're going to talk a little bit about best practices. Number one, always keep your information up to date. Always. There's nothing worse than going to a restaurant, a bookstore, a store, whatever, and having it be closed, but on Google, it says it's open. Ensure the cover image is a clear photo indicating what you do. This could be a logo, your atmosphere, your product, etc. Especially if you're in an area where the Google Maps photo that accompanies your cover photo isn't necessarily the greatest photo of your business or what you're doing. This is really important. right? Because you can't have control of that, but you can have control of your cover photo. Also, regularly check in with reviews. If your email is attached or an email that you have access to, which you should have access to this email if it's attached, we'll ping you if you have a new review, but regularly check in with reviews and respond to them. Whether they're good or bad, always respond to reviews. And then also include any plugins and regularly check in that they're working. In the previous slide, we saw that this restaurant had an integration for both their reservation system and also their delivery options. When you log into Google or start this or claim this address or claim your business, on the dashboard, it shows you all the things that you can integrate. It does take a few seconds and it does take a few seconds to get used to, but it is highly useful. And like I said before, since it's a free platform for you to use and it's widely used by most people on the internet, why not use it? It's the most underutilized marketing platform, in my opinion. Okay. So we've talked about all of these things, right? But there are so many more digital capacity and productivity tools. I'm going to go quick through a few of them here, right? So in a world you might have, so this is an example of a time tracking. And by no means we're endorsing these ones specifically and saying these are better than everyone else, but I'm just going to show you some examples of all these categories. So we have time tracking apps. We have messaging apps like Slack that you can use with your employees. You have email such with Outlook. You have Dropbox, which is for files. You have Canva, which I mentioned before, which for graphic design. You have QuickBooks, which, for financial health. You have DocuSign or clerical apps. You can add Klaviyo, which is another email marketing. You have Copy AI, which I mentioned before, which helps you with writing. And then you have other plugins like Grammarly, which helps you with writing and marketing. The one thing that if I could say in this section to have you leave with is that at the end of the day, all of these tools are a toolkit, and every single business owner's toolkit is going to be slightly different. So spend a few seconds searching and figuring out what's most important to you and creating that toolkit. And that is one of the most empowering things you can do. It is a little intimidating. There are a lot of options, but if you use your audience, what we did in the beginning, and also where you're at in your digital audit and your goals as a business to create this toolkit, it'll be really, really helpful for you. The next step here is, like I said before, things are a little intimidating. And implementation of this, we could talk about for a whole other hour, right? But I'm going to talk a little bit about what's creating a workflow. So what is workflow? So workflow is a series of activities that are necessary to complete a task or to reach a goal. And they're standardized and tweaked over time so that you can get the most efficient use out of them. So what can I do to maximize my capacity using a workflow? Well, there's a few things. Number one is that by using a workflow, you're able to spend less time doing things wrong, or you can also create a system that a whole team can use. By creating this workflow, first we do this, and this is our process. Over time, you're able to spend more time on other things, spend less resources, and free up more other employee time for goal making or having other goals. In the world of content creation, this is something that's really important too, is we're using content, right? So creating a template for different buckets of content or different buckets of goals, right? So you can use the same piece of content over multiple channels, right? For example, if you have something on your website, you can use it on your blog. You can put it on your social media channel. You can use that content on the Google Business Profile. If you're, you reuse as much as possible, right? Be efficient and increase your capacity over the digital sphere. Also, if you're just starting out and you don't really know where to go, you can keep a saved folder of other users' content. You don't want to copy them, but it's a great way to be inspired and to see what other people are doing. Another thing here is that I'm going to talk about for just a brief second is batching. So the idea of batching tasks or batching content or batching creation is essentially where you complete all of one step before moving on to the next step. Some people find that very helpful, and there's lots of articles and books and resources on that. that you can look up at as well. But the most important thing at the end of the day is creating this workflow or process with your team. The system is meant to help all of them, and their input can really make it so that we've all put in processes that have been abandoned because we didn't have, all of the team members on board, or everyone on board. But having talking with all of our team members, or talking with all the people who are stakeholders, and making sure that this is built for everyone and what they would like to do is going to be the name of the game. Now, we've talked about all of these things. The next section we're going to do is, well, what if I need a little bit of extra help to implement these things, or to create the things that we've been talking about? And so I'm going to pass the baton over to Michael here, and we're going to talk about our next section.
Wonderful. Well, Morgan and Gorgana, thank you so much for this. And, as we get into some of the final sections here in our presentation today, I want to take a moment to just kind of recap a little bit. So we did go through, quite a few different ways of thinking about your digital capacity and increasing online presence. Early on, we started off with this kind of assessing who is your customer and doing an audit from your customer's perspective. Now, in the world of all these apps and all the technology, the software, the hardware, and everything, it's so easy to get lost. It's so easy to get overwhelmed. And this analysis paralysis can set in. You wonder, gosh, what is it that I'm supposed to do? What do I need to have? What's the ideal mix? Well, one way that we suggest to help kind of whittle that down and gain some focus is just go back to why you're here in the first place. Think about why you want to do what you do. Who is it you're serving? Who are your customers? What do they need? What are those pain points you want to address? What is the value that you love to create for your customers? Go back to that. And in that first step that Morgan mentioned about assessing who your customers are and exactly what it is that they need, that's the stuff that's actually motivating. I know that probably not everyone on this call right now are so excited about diving into software, but you're probably quite motivated and interested in thinking about how you can do better or add more value to your customers and do more of what you do, maybe more efficiently, or just being able to do it for more people. So go back to that. I really encourage you to spend time there, and then have that kind of more awareness from your customer's perspective. Put yourself in your customer's shoes more often as you can, and go through that website, as we mentioned. Take a look at your current website, or if you don't have one, what would someone expect to find on your website? What would they expect to find on your Google My Business profile? What would they expect to find on your social media accounts? Do you see what you think they would want to see, or is there something missing? So use that intelligence to kind of guide you in to identifying what are those few things you can now implement or add into your business structure. We also talked about website development. Gorgana outlined really well, very complicated topic. And it's kind of just coming down to a choice of, well, okay, let me think about why this is even important. Are we building a website just for the sake of it, or is it for a purpose? There's probably a specific purpose of what we want it to do for us and what we would like for it to do for our customers. So again, go back to that. Think about, well, do we want them to buy something online? Do we want them to maybe just know more of what they can find in store, what they can expect to experience when they come see you in person? What are the functions here? And let's design around that. Then let's find a platform that allows us to do that easily. And let's also find a platform that allows us to maintain, either if it's something you do on your own, or you are able to hire someone and delegate. I think in this whole world of digital capacity and bringing in technology, it's okay to not be an expert in it all. There are freelancers out there that can help you. And there are also other resources that we will actually talk about in a moment. But it's okay to, as a business owner, you're always looking for opportunities to delegate that out as well. And this might be one of those areas. So just go back to that purpose and the goals that you're trying to achieve and let that lead the way. And finally, we talked about different apps, productivity apps, operations apps. Again, think about what it is that will make your life a bit better. What will help you save time? What will make things a bit more efficient? What can allow you to be more visible and find just a few different apps or software that will allow you to do that. In some cases, it might be hardware. If you have an in-store business, maybe it's upgrading your POS system. Maybe it's having a better laptop. Maybe it's about just having something that will allow you to keep better records. If you struggle with your bookkeeping records, do you need software for that? And do you need a laptop to be able to maintain that? So think about some of the pain points you have, some of the objectives you wish you would like to achieve, and let that lead the way. So Morgan, if you don't mind forwarding on to the next slide. And in our final section for today's presentation, just wanted to share, a couple of resources. One, just very briefly, if you don't know about this particular blog from the US Chamber of Commerce, this is one I always like to recommend. There's so many blogs out there, and a lot of them are really good. This one is consistently, to me, really informative. This is just one example, a digital marketing checklist for the digital tools your startup or even existing business might need. And we went through a lot of examples. What I liked about this checklist is that it's a really short checklist, just a few categories. And again, if you're feeling overwhelmed, you might check this one out. And as you're reading it, encourage you to subscribe to this newsletter. You might find some really interesting tidbits along the way, not just with digital capacity and digital marketing, but other aspects of the operations of your business. So this is one that I really like to recommend. Next slide. But as we're talking about all of this, kind of building out new capacity, whether it's software, services, hardware, and such. Next slide. Small Business Strong is a sponsor of the Massachusetts Growth Capital Corporation's, MGCC's, Empowered Digital Grant. And this grant is designed to help Massachusetts-based small businesses as they seek to elevate and increase their digital capacity, whether it's through tools or services like website development, developing an e-commerce platform, developing maybe social media, or capital expenses on digital capacity hardware. That might be a laptop, it might be a tablet, it might be your POS system, the scanner to scan products in store. Maybe it's a new router if you don't have upgraded high-speed internet access and your router is holding you back. So there's kind of a list of allowed uses for these two components of the Empowered Digital Grant. Now, this is a new version. MGCC it recently announced this additional component of $5,000 for capital expenses / hardware. It used to be that it was just for $5,000 on digital services. So this is a really great opportunity. If you happen to have already gone through the grant for the digital services, you're able to now apply for the other side of it, for the hardware. Or if you're just going through this process now, you can apply for both at the same time. Next slide, please. So the process here, I mentioned that Small Business Strong is one of the approved sponsors to get access to the grant application. So business owners are not able to just apply on their own. They do need a sponsor nonprofit organization. Again, Small Business Strong is one of those sponsors. If you're not connected with Small Business Strong yet, here is a QR code to initiate your first outreach to get connected with an advisor who can help you along this process. So invite you to connect with Small Business Strong if you're not already connected. Now, once you are connected, your advisor will walk you through the process. Part of that process is a digital development plan and also an assessment of where you are and where your needs might be more acute and might have a better impact on your business. So in this process, your advisor will guide you through identifying, what are the top needs, and then also guide you in connecting you with a qualified vendor. Part of the process is to obtain a vendor proposal from one of those providers, one or more of those providers. I would say, don't worry about all the detail quite yet. You'll